You wake before dawn in Han, China, with cedar smoke already in the air. The sleeping mat has marked your cheek, and your hands still carry the sour damp of old fiber. You are a papermaker outside Luoyang, and before anyone speaks your name, the vats must be fed. The yard lies behind a rammed earth wall, low and brown beneath roof tiles dark with mist. You pass stacked mulberry bark, hemp scraps, and old fishing nets saved for pounding. The dawn drum reaches from the market quarter, slow and hollow, while dogs nose the lane beyond your gate. Inside the workshop, steam purls along the beams. Troughs, soaking jars, bamboo screens, pressing boards and pestles wait where you left them. The cold of pre-dawn wind still clings to your sleeves until you kneel beside the hearth, coaxing flame through straw and split wood under the iron cauldron. A narrow channel pulls water toward the river plain. Willow roots hold the bank, and duckweed trembles in the current. You hear the river's slow current beyond the reeds, while neighbors haul night soil toward the fields, and a mule snorts beside a cart of bark. You begin with the bark bundles. Some were soaked yesterday. Some need another turning. You strip the dark outer skin with a small knife, keeping the pale inner bast. Wet wool would feel cleaner than this slick rot, but the fibers must loosen before they can become anything useful. At the stone basin, you and another worker pound softened bark and rag with wooden mallets. The rhythm settles into shoulders, elbows, wrists. Splashes strike your shins. Copper hangs in your mouth from the vat steam and ash, while the pulp slowly loses its stubborn threads and turns to mash. When the cauldron heats, you feed in the beaten fiber with ladles and stir it with a long wooden pole. Lye from plant ash bites the skin around your nails. The master's eye moves from pot to pot, measuring thickness by sight and by the drag of the pole. By full morning, the slurry is ready for sheet forming. You dip a framed bamboo screen and decal into the vat, lift it level, and shake gently so fibers knit across the mesh. The smoothness of a worn oar handle lives in the frame's grip. Slick from years of use. Bad sheets shame the whole bench. If fibers clot, the page tears. If the screen lifts crooked, one edge dries thin as onion skin, and another stays heavy. You keep your gaze low when the steward counts the stack. The master's eye can stop on one mistake longer than a shouted rebuke. A clerk from the commandery sometimes comes to inspect supply tallies, asking how many screens were formed from each bundle of bast and rag. You cannot read every mark he brushes onto slips, but you know what shortage means. The tax collector's wax tablet has its twin here in bamboo tallies and hard faces. At midday you eat quickly under the eaves. Steamed millet, a little pickled greens, hot water. Across the yard an older worker coughs into his sleeve and hides the red spit in dust. The empty grain jar waits in every house you know, even when the vats are full. Before returning to work, you pause at the small shelf, blackened by smoke in the corner room. A cup of water sits before the household spirits and the kitchen god. You bow once. The priest's silence from distant shrines means little here. A workshop lives or fails by smaller offerings. The interruption comes when hoofbeats stop outside the gate. A mounted runner in quilted Han service coat dismounts,
followed by 2 attendants carrying wrapped bamboo slips.
You stand with wet hands dripping onto your shoes, while the steward hurries forward and bends low enough to show his neck. The message is plain from their faces before anyone speaks. A larger order has been called for. Record copies are needed at the yamen, and finer sheets must go north with officials. You are sent to the clean vat at once. Every bundle of pale bark suddenly matters.
No one wastes breath after that. You rinse your screen twice, skim stray knots from the slurry, and watch the surface as if it might betray you. A single sandal unstone from the steward behind your shoulder tells you he is still there, listening for carelessness. Then a novice boy, too quick with the pole, knocks a stack of fresh wet sheets from the pressboard. They slide into mud beside the drain. He freezes. You do not. You seize the top board, salvage what can be lifted,
and feel the whole yard tighten around his mistake. By mid-afternoon, the work grows quieter and more exact. You move damaged sheets aside for remacerating and reserve the best couch layers for pressing. The bite of leather thongs cuts your palms as you cinch the press tighter, forcing water through feltless stacks and down the grooves of the board. When the press has done its part, you peel each sheet carefully and brush it onto a drying wall and smooth boards set in the sun. Your fingertips learn the edge before your eyes do. Iron from a forge would be kinder than this ache in the joints of your hands. The runner's attendants inspect a few finished leaves against the light. They pinch corners, judge color, test evenness. You hold yourself straight and keep your breathing small. An unanswered name would be worse than insult here. Silence from officials can leave wages clipped and blame hanging for months. Toward late afternoon, the best sheets are burnished lightly with smooth stone and shell, so the surface will take ink with less feathering. Fine dust clings to your sleeves. A crow on the threshing floor beyond the wall calls once, harsh and ordinary, while the sun slips lower along the tiles. When the light softens, the fires are let down. You rake embers, cover the lye jar, stack wash screens on pegs, and sluice pulp from the trough into settling pits for tomorrow. Tallow lamps begin to breathe their fatty smell from neighboring rooms as wives call children in from the lane. Supper comes in a wooden bowl balanced on your knees, millet again, bean broth, a scrap of salted vegetable, and warm water with a few tea leaves if the household can spare them. You eat beside the pressing boards. Cedar smoke hangs under the eaves and settles into your hair. After the meal, you wash at the channel with water gone cool and gray. Pulp threads drift from your wrists like pale weeds. The kestrel circling at dawn is gone now, and with it the morning's unease. In its place sits the heavy counting of sheets, wages, and tomorrow's bark. You step back inside the workshop once more. One fine sheet still clings to its board near the dying hearth, almost dry, pale as winter moonlight. You touch its edge with one knuckle, then fold onto your mat with damp fiber under your nails. Which detail would have broken you first?